maybe I'm crazy, but more people need to fight. At a young age, yes.
I just spit.
Yeah, it's true.
More people need to fight.
The world would be a different place.
I agree.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta know what it feels like to have hands put on.
Violence isn't the answer; it's the catalyst to it.
Yeah, it's. We'll explain,
right?
But just trust me. We'll get to it later.
Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not.
Welcome to Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. That's Brandon Newman.
Hola.
Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks for joining us. Arash Markazi of the LA Times joins us. He is going to talk lots of free agent stuff and Zion. And we have very important questions to ask him about the Lakers drama because we need answers around here. We need answers.
And he has the power to ask those questions.
He does, yes. So we put in our bid because neither one of us are reporters, and like I said, I can't be a part of that situation because they'll kick me out. Yeah. I can't do that. We're going to talk about the NBA's villains. Yes. Are there any? The best NBA duo, Zion, hot dogs, which I hate. There's some New Jerseys available if you're into buying New Jerseys. Westbrook haters and losers. Pod Tom has resurfaced, which is important. A very, very important culture report this week. And, of course, what I mentioned a few moments ago, which is that people who, go around licking ice cream, they haven't had the same experiences as the rest of us, which is why they do that. Yeah. We'll get to that later. But let's start with Arash Markazi. All right, Arash Markazi, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You've been in the building many times, but you haven't blessed the podcast.
This is like a secret room I've never been.
Yes, it is a secret. It's a very exclusive club.
It is.
We like when people come in and compliment this room closet that we're in.
Yeah,
I do like it.
It is. It's important because it didn't always look this way.
No.
It's developed over time.
Who created this? Who put this together?
It was a collaborative effort.
We all got ideas.
Yeah, we have the most important moment in Heat fan history behind me there.
That is
Ariel on the shot. Ashley, our producer, is a Spurs fan, so she has to look at that every day and suffer. But it was a great moment. Yeah. But there's a lot going on in the NBA right now, especially here in LA, and you are plugged in, so we have lots of questions for you. Starting with, who's the better team on paper right now, the Clippers or the Lakers? Because that's what everyone's talking about.
I was looking at that today. I like the team that the Clippers have because the core group comes back. They almost won 50 games last year, so you're bringing back Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell and Patrick Beverley, and so that's a tight-knit group. Whereas the Lakers, you're bringing back some guys, but it's a very new team. So on paper, they actually did a really good job. Because I remember I was on the show and I said, if the Lakers don't get Kawhi, they're in a really tough spot. Like the guys that they could have potentially signed are now gone. They recovered pretty well. But going into this season, and Las Vegas agrees with me, and I always feel good when Las Vegas agrees with me, that's the favorite. The Clippers are the favorite, but the Lakers are right behind them. So it's a beautiful moment in Los Angeles sports because they've never both been good at the same time. Either the Lakers are winning championships and the Clippers are the worst team in the league, or the Clippers are a playoff team and the Lakers are the worst team in the league. So we've never really had both teams not only be good at the same time, but could be like the top two teams in the league. So I'm very excited for this upcoming season.
I don't know what to make of what the Lakers have done. Like you mentioned, they put some shooters around. They did some sneaky moves there. But here's the thing. LeBron has a bit of a reputation with first-year coaches. Yeah. Everyone was a little nervous about how that whole coaching search went. It was very dramatic for all of us. We're still recovering, okay? But now the real work starts, right?
Yeah.
Like they put together all these pieces around him. I mean, what is the situation with putting all that in place? The
one thing that I know for sure will happen, there will be a coaching controversy at some point because this is a new group of guys, and so at some point they're going to struggle. They're going to have a lull where they go 5 of 5, or they're gonna struggle. Right. And when that happens, you're gonna look at the bench and it's like Jason Kidd, who wanted this job, Lionel Hollins, who wanted this job. These are not Frank Vogel's guys. Right. So they've created this very unique situation where those are two coaches who want to still be head coaches, and LeBron has a better relationship with them than he does for Frank Vogel. So I like Frank Vogel. He's been put in a very tough spot here, because those are not his guys. Those are not his assistant coaches that he brought with him. So if they struggle, I feel bad for Frank, because they're not going to trade anyone, I don't think, or cut anybody. So the quickest solution is the head coach. So we shall see.
Yeah, we were all nervous about that when it happened. But then on the other side of it, you have the Clippers, who weirdly have a history of being very dysfunctional, and they're the more stable organization, at least as of late. like you mentioned, they're favored right now, but they have pieces around them that I think have more of an identity than the Lakers. Like the Lakers to me have no identity. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they'll be. But the Clippers to me are coming. Well, I mean, you have Kawhi Leonard, who's Finals MVP coming off a championship, and Paul George, who was third place defensive player of the year, and they were a defensive team. When I think of the Clippers, I think of obviously a lot of offense in Kawhi and Paul George, but also just a very tough team.
Yeah. You know, when I look at that playoff run last year in the post-game press conference up in the podium was always Patrick, Beverly, Montrez, and Lou. And that was sort of like the heart and soul of that team that fans really, really kind of loved because they were the opposite of Lob City. They didn't make excuses. They played really hard. And so they're bringing that group back. So you know that they're going to play together. They're going to be tough. And that's a great point, Joey, that they brought two of the best defensive players. Not only two of the top players, two of the best defensive two-way players. Here's also the fascinating thing about that. Those are two local kids who we always thought. You grew up in Los Angeles. If you grew up in Los Angeles, you know it's a Lakers town.
Right.
The past 2 summers, both those guys, Paul George last summer, Kawhi this summer, turned down the Lakers and preferred the Clippers. It's a fascinating sort of look at what the Clippers have done now because, I mean, you could look at what they were, but those days are done. You got Steve Ballmer, Jerry West, Doc Rivers. I mean, it is a new team. And for two kids who grew up in Los Angeles, and I'm not saying that they grew up wanting to play for the Lakers, but they knew the dynamic.
Of the Clippers-Lakers.
Yeah, and they were like, you know what? I'm good with the Lakers. Paul George didn't even meet with Magic Johnson last year. He did not even have a sit-down. At least Kawhi, and you could say how serious was he? At least he took a meeting with them. Paul George didn't even do that.
Well, there's the circus that surrounds LeBron, obviously not being his fault, just all eyes on him since he got into the league.
Yeah.
I've been saying that this down year that the Lakers have had this past year with LeBron's injury, with all the injuries that happened, the first game of the season with the Houston Rockets. You know, it was just a off-year period. But I think LeBron is setting himself up to do the unthinkable with making sure the Lakers are the number one franchise in the NBA as well as in LA.
Yeah.
With Kawhi being there. And he can take a bunch of misfit toys like he had last season. But these are the guys that he picked. Finally. And he also has to get past whatever coaching quarrels are going to come with Frank Vogel.
Yeah. And the other thing is he has a bunch of unique pieces and parts, but he also has one of the top 5 players in the game. And I think we always have to forget that because, like, the first bit of news, fans are saying, oh, they didn't get Kawhi. Like, they didn't get Kawhi, but they got Anthony Davis. Right. So in my view, when he's healthy, he's one of the top 5 players in the game. So you have 2 of those players there. That's huge. I also like this new LeBron being like, you could have my 23. Like, I'm going to be point guard. I'm going to be facilitator. Like, I'm going to be more of, like, the captain. And he knows he's not going to be playing forever. Maybe 2 more years, 3, 4 tops. But I like this new LeBron as a facilitator, point guard. I don't need to be 23. This will be a good season for him, I think, because he's had more rest than he's had in a long time.
Huge, and that's forever. Change everything.
So another big story out there right now is Russell Westbrook. It's being reported now that he has kind of been wanting out for a while, basically since their first round exit. I'm crossing fingers for the Miami Heat. I have no idea. Well, I mean, basically, it would have to be a 3-team trade. Something possibly involving the Mavericks moving Goran Dragic's contract in order for him to get there, but I never doubt the Godfather, Pat Riley. However, Houston would be very interesting also. And I'm kind of tough on Houston just because, you know, I'm just not into regular season championships. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you are, cool, but own that. And it's like there are championship contenders every year, but it's like you do the same thing every year. It's all about numbers, and that doesn't equal championships. In the end, you got to make the big plays in the big spots. It comes down to situational basketball, and that's just not what I see with the Rockets. Where do you think he should end up, and what would be the better fit?
Chris Paul, though, would he?
I think Chris Paul would have to
be a part of the deal, or part of Here's the unique thing about this trade with Westbrook. They will not get as much for Westbrook as they got for Paul George, and here's why. The Thunder knew that that was not just a trade for Paul George. Like, they needed to get Paul George to get Kawhi. So, like, that, 5 first-round draft picks, and the Westbrook thing is also like his contract is kind of like, so I mean, they might just end up getting like a couple of the first-round picks. As crazy as that sounds, I like the Miami thing because that could be his team. And obviously, who doesn't want to play in Miami? Joy, as you know, it's a beautiful place to live.
Right.
So I don't know how the Houston dynamic would work. I don't love that unless they can figure out a package of trade. I mean, a package of players and picks there. But yeah, Houston's going to be such a fascinating team going into this season because they all know that they were trying to trade that entire team to get Jimmy Butler, and that didn't happen. So, yeah, I don't like the makeup of the Houston situation.
Well, Daryl Morey has been on record saying he's trying to chase a Golden State Warriors team that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And they're trying to run it back with this exact same team that's just beat the Utah Jazz last 2 years in a row. And Daryl Morey's been on record saying that he wants the best players on the same court and figure out the rest out.
Yeah.
He could possibly think that Westbrook just added to that roster.
I think so. Like that's like it's like, you know, like if you were to say like I just want like the top, like, you know, the top 3 players in the league, which is, by the way, like what Rob Pelinka tried to do. Like when they created that max slot and they're like, should they split it up? I was like, there's 0% chance like that's what they created the max slot for. Like when they created that max slot, it was for Kawhi.
Right.
Like it was not to go after like D'Angelo Russell like no. Now they didn't get him, so they had to do what they had to do. But no, I think what we've seen with the Warriors and with the Heat before that, like, get the best players you can, best 3 or 4, and then after that you can worry about the rest. Like, you want a good team, but if you, at the end of the day, come playoff time, if you have 2 or 3 of the best players in the world, you're going to have a good chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, you need talent, but, like, I don't know. I'm just overall just always underwhelmed with how they perform in the playoffs. Like, during the regular season, they're so fun, and then it comes playoff time, and, you know, Houston Rocket fans hate me. But you know what? Look, you guys, you're old Raptors. And that's, I mean, at me, you are. But what Kawhi did was kind of interesting because, you know, you look at the West and everyone kind of doesn't really have an idea. Like, they should be at the top, but nobody really knows. To me, I think the East is the exact same way. I mean, I don't have a particular faith in anyone at the top of the East. Like, Milwaukee, cool, but I mean, I don't know, the Sixers could put it together. Like, I really think people are underestimating the Celtics tremendously because I think Kemba is going to be huge for them and will fit with Brad Stevens even better. But did what Kawhi do kind of neutralize the NBA?
It did. So now you go into next season, like, I would say a third of the league. Like, I could say 10 teams have a legitimate chance. Like, if they say, okay, if this goes our way, like, we have a really good chance, which we haven't seen in a long, long time. I mean, 10 teams. Right. What it also did was prove that it doesn't matter, like, you know, you got 2 more years on your contract, or this guy might be available in 2021. Paul George just got traded. He has 3 years left on his deal. Like, I think this shows the power of the player, which I think is, like, a fantastic thing. Like, if a player wants to join a friend in Los Angeles, and again, as long as that team can do well in that trade. Like, you would hate to see a player want to get traded and then they only get, like, a first-round pick or something. Right. I think in the situation of New Orleans and OKC, they got a lot of picks. They got a great package of players and picks. So, but it shows that doesn't matter. Like, if 2 guys want to play together, I mean, that the whole Paul George dynamic of that is so fascinating because he was never even someone that I thought was a possibility.
Right.
And so it's the quietest trade demand and quickest trade turnover from, like, I want to be traded. Okay, hold on, let's get these picks. You know, it was amazing.
He had a 4-year deal. Like, I guess my mindset is you can't look at the landscape at all and predict anything because someone can call someone can text someone, and then throw out a whole whatever year's worth of planning that the front office is doing just because 2 guys want to link up finally. Yeah.
And speaking of, like, picks and stuff, the Celtics, going back to your point, they didn't make a move, so they have a lot of, like, players and picks, and I think they're 1 player away, and I don't know who that player might be, but at some point during the course of the season, it's like, all right, we're the 3 seed, but if we make this move right here...
Yeah, I think there's going to be a trade made during the season that's going to change the landscape of a lot. I mean, D'Angelo Russell is a factor that we're all going to be watching. So you mentioned the Pelicans there. I'm very high on the Pelicans this year. I think that I think they're going to win a championship sooner than people think. But everyone's watching Zion. I was just okay. All right, look like it's gonna. I don't know who it's gonna be this year.
Really depending on Zion being the next LeBron.
And then it's Brooklyn, and then
LeBron
like year 3 or 4.
Game. All right, LeBron. Zion couldn't finish a summer league.
Okay, so that's
game.
what I'm asking. You were there at the game. It was like standing room only, chaos, mania. In the 9 minutes he played,
Yeah.
it was fun,
great 9
right? Like,
minutes,
what
though.
did you see from
I
Zion?
just love the people watching at Summer League because like LeBron was there courtside to watch him, and like it was packed house, and during like the warm-ups, everyone was like just taking pictures of Zion. I mean, he is a celebrity, like as we know, just like the name and who he is and everything. I'm not sold on him being the next LeBron, and that's like that's a huge mark to hit. So, but if he is, then yeah, they have a chance. But this is why I always love that trade for the Lakers. You're getting an established top 5 player, and the 3 players. Now the draft picks, we'll see what they make of those picks, but I like all 3 of those guys. I like Lonzo, I like Brandon Ingram, and I like Josh Hart. None of them, in my view, is going to be a superstar to be one of the top 10 players in the league. I don't think they could be, and I hope they prove me wrong because I do like them personally. But that's why it wasn't like they were trading away a guy who was like, oh man, he just made his first All-Star game, he was 3rd-team All-NBA or something like that. It was like they're good players, but if you have a chance, to get one of the top 5 players in the game, like you have to make that move. I'm high on New Orleans moving forward. Do you think they'll make the playoffs this upcoming season?
I don't know what's going to happen. The West is too close, and I think
agree.
there's teams that we are kind of overlooking because they didn't do anything dramatic, or they're just in general not very debatable or discussable.
We don't know what Dallas is going to do.
Like Denver and Utah, and everyone's forgetting that Portland is still Portland, and they added Hassan
Utah
Whiteside.
and Denver are like smart plays because like if you go to like a Vegas sports book, it's like the Clippers, it's like the Lakers. They got to put some East teams, so it's like Milwaukee, Philadelphia. But I'm like, I love Utah summer. I love what they did, and then the Nuggets are pretty good too. Now I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but like for a good value bet. Those are the two,
and they have another year under their belt, which to me, like the reason I didn't value them last year was like they have a good team, but I think experience matters when you're going up against teams in the West. Like that is what it is. Like in the East, I can buy that, but even still, like I picked the Raptors from the beginning because I picked the Celtics originally, but then I switched to the Raptors very early because Kawhi Leonard, And Kawhi Leonard's been there, done that, and that matters to me. So, was there anyone that stuck out to you at Summer League?
Not really, because I really only wanted to watch that one game, and it got cut short because of the quake. But Summer League is so great just for like catching up with people, So there was this one moment during the game where it was Anthony Davis and LeBron, and then like Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart came over just to kind of say hi and hug. I was like, it's kind of a unique moment, and then the day after the Clippers got Kawhi, it was like Patrick Beverly and Lou Williams talking to like LeBron and like AD. So it's sort of your first glimpse into next season. And it's Vegas and it's the summer, so guys generally like to go there to hang out too. But it's fun.
Is there any concern about Zion? Because he's got to drop a couple pounds. Like it is what it is. And he's got his college baby weight. Like he doesn't realistically, he doesn't have his man body yet. Like, which sounds crazy to say because he's ginormous and a specimen. They're doing construction somewhere outside. Just so you know, that's what that weird noise is. The microphone picked it up, and that's why we're acting normal. But he's got to drop. He's got to drop a little weight. Like it's too much torque. That's always been the conversation. And then of course he bumped knees and he's out. You want to protect him, but. What's your biggest concern with Zion moving forward in his career? Because to me, my only concern is that he doesn't rely on his athleticism because once your body starts failing you, that's it. Like you've got to. Yeah. This is a skill league.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a fantastic player. I think he'll be. A top 20 player. I just don't get or see the LeBron comparison as much as some of the other people. I think he's very talented, and he obviously showed that at Duke in college and all that. But LeBron is like next level, and so I think if he can be LeBron, I love the Pelicans just because of what they've done. But I don't see him being that type of a player.
Well, what type of NBA ceiling do you see for him possibly?
I mean, he could be Charles Barkley, which is fantastic.
Right,
that's the Hall of Fame player. But that's not like LeBron, which is like triple double and like can just do
change the franchises
and championships.
Well, there you go.
I mean, it is like that matters. All right, so before we let you go, you are very connected with the Lakers. The Lakers soap opera was. I really can't.
Entertaining.
Remember, it was amazing. It was like nothing. You couldn't write it. Like, and that's a saying that is around Hollywood, but like you literally could not write what happened over the past couple months. Has any of it been cleaned up, or are we just no longer? We finally have been able to talk about actual basketball for a few minutes.
So Magic is no longer there, and I loved Magic growing up as a player. So I hate to say, but like it's been cleaned up because he's no longer there. He's sort of like this wild card figure that no one's gonna know what he's gonna say or do. Like the day that he resigned, nobody knew. Everyone was blindsided by it. And the day before he goes on First Take, Jeannie had talked to him and. Tell me what your concerns are. No, I have no problem with Rob. Everything's fine. And then he goes on First Take and says what he says. And then not only does he go on First Take and says what he says, he told the Los Angeles Times like that same day, but I still love the Lakers. Rob's fine. If they need my help in recruiting. And I'm like, wow, like what's the,
He messed up the Kawhi trade.
Well, the Kawhi thing I thought was fascinating because you're basically saying, we all know he's very private, doesn't want like anything public. So as soon as Magic finds out that Kawhi wants to talk to him, he tells the media that. And then, like, after they meet, he gives the media, like, a play-by-play of what they talked about. I'm
Maybe
like...
Magic is a double agent.
What the heck is going on with this guy?
Somebody needs to take his phone from him.
Yeah. He's got to tweet, though. You
No,
understand?
he must tweet. He must tweet. I mean, if Magic doesn't tweet, will we know anything that happens in the NBA?
We wouldn't know the score of games.
Yes.
We wouldn't get a congratulatory tweet. Like
universal
his Twitter
consensus.
is it should be in a museum. Like
my favorite of his
amazing.
tweets is when he does like a corporate event. It's like, I want to thank Shell and Bank of America for having me speak to them. I'm like, okay, did they pay you for that too? Like, what does that tweet do for anybody?
What I'll never knock is like anything that he does to make money, because aside from being an amazing basketball player and great at everything, he also knows how to make money.
Are annoying.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Really rich people, I can do without them.
I don't even know where to go with that. I disagree, and I hopefully will one day be rich. So I hope to be. Okay, we've been. And maybe I missed the final resolution of the story, but I don't know. Just correct me if I'm wrong. What happened with the Rob Pelinka? What happened with that? What did that mean?
Heath Ledger.
So here's what I'll say. Okay, so that's a good question. They cut the press conference for Frank Vogel short. That was a question that we had some questions to get. Yeah. Wow. I gotta figure out at what point that's right, because it can't be the first question.
Right.
So obviously there's going to be a press conference to bring in the new players.
This is why
it would be great if that was the first question.
Because it absolutely
Joy, would that be your first question?
Why you lying, Hal?
Joy Taylor, FS1. What's happened with the speech, the Genius Talks, and who was it? Here's my theory. Right. Okay. So we don't have an answer then yet.
We have theories, though.
So my theory, because I refuse to believe that he just went up there and lied. I cannot.
I can see that, yeah.
I can't. It's hard for me to think that people could ever be that bold. So my theory. This is just a theory, is that he was telling the story and he really meant Christian Bale.
Oh, it could be.
And then he just said the wrong name, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so Kobe really did have dinner, but it was actually with Batman, not the Joker.
Okay.
Is there a scenario that he just lied, though?
That is on the board.
No. He definitely lied, but the level of the lie.
Right.
Is what I'm thinking that...
It's the audacity of it.
No, I'm thinking that Kobe, this is my theory, Kobe got director's cut, early release of the film, right?
I see.
Was watching it, was traveling to New York, was like, hey, hook me up with the Heath Ledger. Pelinka, just being an agent and a yes man, was like, oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll get you a dinner with him. Then did some digging. It's like, oh, he's dead. No pun intended for the digging. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe it was just an agent lie that he forgot and told The Rock and the rest of the world.
Okay, so we have three things on the board.
Just a lie.
Just a lie is at the top.
Investigation board to get to the bottom of this.
Listen, why any investigative group is not all women to begin with is a mistake. Okay,
True.
I can find out anything about anybody. You just give me 5 minutes and strong Wi-Fi. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Okay, so first on the board, number one on the board is just a lie.
Yeah.
Number two is my theory that it was just the wrong name.
Wrong,
right.
And which please let that be.
Yes.
And three is that it was in fact a lie, but he just forgot that he had lied to Kobe about it, and then it just became one of those things where okay, I lied about that. It's now the truth though.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it just continued, and you just forgot oh, I did lie about that.
It's definitely one of those three. I like that we've narrowed it down to one of 3 choices.
I mean, it's just so bizarre. Like, of all the crazy things that happen with the Lakers,
the most simplistic is number 1. Like, yeah, it didn't happen, but I thought it'd be a cool story, and I'm in front of these guys. I thought it'd be fun,
I just hope not.
Yeah.
Well, you do a great job of covering them and the league, and thanks for coming in and kicking it with us today. We'll
Good
have
luck
you
to get
again
to the
on
bottom
soon.
of that too.
Yeah,
that was
That's gonna.
The next
It is
time
tricky.
I talk to Rob,
It's hard to find the right space.
You're good
to
at going
ask that.
viral. That might get you viral.
that is the
you
most
ask that
viral
question.
thing that could come from that
I'm
press
telling
conference.
you.
I will. That is a priority of mine to find out exactly what happened.
Please, I got it. I need answers.
Pass the rock.
Yeah, but thanks for joining us.
With it or quit it. With it, quit it.
What?
With it. We about to turn up in this bitch.
All right, what am I winning or quitting today?
Years ago, people hated LeBron in Miami for his dominance.
Sure did.
Then the Warriors for their dominance. But after KD followed Kyrie to Brooklyn, Steph won't have Clay until February, and Kawhi and his fan club just moved to the Clippers, the NBA is finally balanced, but somebody has to be irrationally hated. Joy, the NBA's newest villain will be the Los Angeles Lakers. With it or quit it.
I'm gonna have to quit it because I just don't know that they're hateable. And villains, you hate villains. And that said, the way that you set that up, really, I mean, Kawhi is Thanos. He brought balance to the NBA.
One
With
little
the snap of his very ginormous hands.
Yeah.
He
claws, if you will.
completely equalized everything across the NBA landscape, and now we are walking through whatever that weird Space Valley thing that Thanos was in. The world has peace, and we're trying to remember what it was like before that. That's literally the space we're living in. Because
No,
look,
I feel you.
think of all of the teams that you could hate last year. I mean, you could hate the Lakers. You could hate the Celtics. Nobody's gonna hate the Raptors, but you could even hate Westbrook. And the Thunder,
the Warriors,
certainly the Rockets,
the Warriors, all day long.
I mean, now I'm kind of talking myself in. No, the Rockets aren't good enough to be villains.
The Rockets aren't relevant enough to be hated.
That's what I'm saying. There's no villain. Like Thanos, Kawhi is Thanos, and he's also just undefeatable. Like what he's done can't be undone. There is no. Everyone's seen it, right? I don't care. There is no Iron Man to save the situation. It just doesn't exist.
Shouts out to Spider-Man.
Oh, at this point,
And Black
hope
Captain America.
I ruined it for you because
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god!
I can't wait.
The
Please say spoiler or alert in this.
Oh my god! Oh,
The nerve.
I can't. Anyway, the
It's supposed to
point
be on HBO.
there. I think it actually might still be in theaters. Like it low-key might still be in some theaters.
Okay,
Because people really love that movie. Anyway.
in games.
Yeah, the point is, there's no villain. Like LeBron is LeBron and AD are the closest thing to it, and I just don't find them hateable unless you just happen to hate LeBron. That's not who I'm talking about here. Like when you mention teams like the Heat people hated the Heat.
Yeah.
Like they hated the Heat so much they made it seem like Miami was a bad place to live. Like it was laughable. We'd be down there like, what are you talking about? We literally live in paradise.
Yeah.
There's topless beaches. You can go across the street and order a delicious margarita and walk anywhere around this place with
Best
it.
Cuban sandwiches
it's
you ever
wonderful.
found. Very
Cuban
hot,
sandwiches.
though. Very humid.
It's very wow. It's
Humid.
so hot. This beautiful ocean and pools everywhere you
Okay.
look. Okay. Please, just messing with it. I understand if you don't like a little bit of humidity, but let's stop acting like Miami is hell on earth.
Okay.
That's how much people hated LeBron and the Heat that they convinced themselves Miami was a horrible place.
Okay.
That's an
I'll ride with
absurd
that.
thing.
Yeah,
okay,
true
like
that.
just stop and think about it for a second. It's a little bit extra. The point is, there's no comparison to the level of hate that the Miami Heat got, and there's not going to be any comparison to the way that people hated and root against the Warriors. And people were actively rooting for any team who had a possible chance to beat the Warriors, and not even because they were really hateable. It was really hateable about them when KD went. Like
Yeah.
So
I mean,
KD was tired of people saying that he's not as good as LeBron because he didn't have a championship. And as it turns out, they actually needed him to win the championships
so.
because we saw what happened when he was injured. They lost to the Raptors, who by all accounts were the least talented team in that situation, and they had one guy in Kawhi. One proven guy in Kawhi against the mighty Warriors. And KD's out and the Raptors are champions. So KD proved that he was necessary there. So when you really look back on it, like, what were you really hating? KD was necessary there.
Yeah. And Kawhi can't be hated either because, I mean, even for Spurs fans, they got the redemption they wanted against the Warriors via Kawhi at the Raptors. And with him leaving, too, Kawhi did not want to be with Spurs. He wanted to be with the Clippers. He's there now. In the meantime, he won a championship with the Raptors.
And, I mean, there was a moment there where you probably felt like he might stay with the Raptors, but there's no feelings of animosity from anyone that he left the Raptors. No, it's not like how it was when LeBron left Cleveland and everyone was like, how could you ever leave Cleveland?
Right. It's Cleveland.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
That's what you're going with, right? Like, why on earth would you want to do that? There's nothing going on like that. And the Raptors couldn't be more classy about how they're handling his exit because it would be laughable for them to be angry at him. So this is my only issue with what's happened. I need a bad guy, okay? I do, because I root for the bad guy most of the time. And I need to know who are we all against so that I can be with them. And for the overall storyline of the NBA, it's going to be interesting because I don't see anybody, when I look back, I don't see anybody that sticks out like, man, everyone is going to be rooting for them to fail. It's part of our DNA. It's what we do.
Yeah, no. People want Steph to win now a little bit. Like,
and honestly, the Warriors are the sleeper in all this. They're in the best position ever. They could not be in a better position.
How? What you mean?
No expectations. Nobody's talking about the Warriors.
Yeah, it's true.
Nobody expects them to win.
And they'll still be one of those 8 seeds. Then we'll have to deal with them in the playoffs.
Oh, no, they will be in the
Clay gets
playoffs.
there.
They will be in the playoffs.
That's
and they've
weird.
got D'Angelo Russell. Like, it's an interesting landscape now.
Yeah.
Kawhi is Thanos. What's next?
The NBA went from the Justice League running-ish to a league full of Batmans and Robins. There's Bron and AD, Kyrie and KD, Kawhi and PG-13, Steph and Clay, Dame and CJ, Joel and Ben. The list of great duos goes on and on. Joy, LeBron and AD are going to be the best duo in the NBA. Wit it or quit it.
I'm going to quit that.
You're quitting
But
things today.
this also, through Kawhi Thanosing the NBA, he eliminated the super teams.
Right.
And now you got to pick your team, and it's going to be 2 guys, and there's a lot of them. I mean, just the ones you mentioned. Then you've got LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, which everyone always forgets because it's quite frankly the Spurs. Yeah. No disrespect, but that's what they do.
And the Spurs don't do duos. They do team stuff.
They do. They're very much a team. Yeah, they do team things. They would push back on that, on being a part of the duo. They'd want to be the outlier.
They should.
Yeah. Jokic and Jamal Murray, James Harden, Chris Paul, which may end up being James Harden and Westbrook, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Victor Oladipo, Malcolm Brogdon, Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum. Like, it's hard to pick, but I am going with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I got to go with Kawhi because he's Finals MVP. He's Kawhi. He carried the Raptors to that championship, and he's just coming in with the most momentum, period. And Paul George showed his value last year. He was in the MVP conversation last year. He was
with Russell Westbrook on his team.
3rd place in Defensive Player of the Year voting. They're going to be incredible on defense, and they're both great scorers. Yeah. And it's not a discredit to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but look, I keep saying it. LeBron is coming off his first major injury. I'm sure he's going to come back in perfect health.
Right.
It's LeBron. He takes excellent care of his body. But I don't know what I'm going to see from the 2 of them. And who knows what's going to happen with Kuzma? What if Kuzma takes a major step up? We know how LeBron is with bigs.
He had a bad shooting year last year.
Like, things could rotate in that lineup. Things could look differently. So I'm not saying that LeBron is no longer a great player. Of course he is. For some reason, Lakers fans think I hate the Lakers, which is so weird to me.
They think that your hate for LeBron trickles over to...
I don't hate LeBron. I told you, I surrendered my hatred for LeBron when he came to the Lakers. As soon as he left Cleveland, I could shed myself of my hatred for him leaving Miami, which I have. I have no hate for LeBron whatsoever. I would like to see him win a championship while he's here in Los Angeles. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't. If I'm being frank, I really don't. I don't see it. Like, I'm not wishing against that. I think it'd be an amazing story. It would be the ultimate Hollywood story for everything in the chaos and insanity that the Lakers were last year, the absolute disaster, to then turn it around and win a championship within the next 2 years would be an incredible story and a magnificent ending to the career that LeBron James has had.
This is what LeBron James is. His whole narrative has been storybook from the beginning. All of these things. Bringing a championship to Cleveland even is the impossible is possible with LeBron, and that's why he has followers that will follow him and have the faith in him through this 17-game groin injury.
Because I really think that doing this is going to be like walking on water.
It's not that bad. Now,
I mean, you were leading me to that dramatic ending.
I looked at these are the duos in their current points per game together. Paul George and Kawhi are leading 54.6 points. Right. LeBron James, AD right behind 53.3 points. James Harden, Clint Capella actually 52.7 points. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving 49.8. But what I'm trying to say is though, LeBron James as a point guard, I think LeBron James's biggest goal this season is going to be getting KD to win the MVP. Like he's going to try to get one of his teammates to win. Oh shit. I can't do this. Let's I'm the whole thing. I quit. No, but you know what I'm saying? He's going to try to, and that's dangerous. Who knows what LeBron James can do? Named a point guard. He's always actually been a point guard, but him actually having the ball in his hands.
It's going to be very interesting. I'm going with the obvious pick in this spot because we're going off paper right now, and that's what I think. But it's going to be interesting to see. And this is why I keep talking about Kevin Durant. Like Kevin Durant is in the Kawhi seat right now because he's going to be gone for a year. He's going to be out of sight, out of mind. Everyone's going to have revisionist history on how good really was he when he was available. I feel like we need to examine it. We went through the whole thing with Kawhi, and Kawhi is not going to be the same player, and why did he leave the Spurs? And he proves everyone wrong. And that's exactly what Kevin Durant is going to do. I really think everyone is underestimating that situation in Brooklyn.
When he's available.
When he's available, which is a while from now. Hear ye, hear ye. Sexist men are petty.
I agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
That's the correct answer.
Agreed, you dirty men. Continue, I'm sorry.
All right, shout out to the U.S. Women's National Team. Fourth World Cup, no big deal. That's what we do.
Iron Stars,
Yes, they are amazing. They beat the Netherlands 2-0. Megan Rapinoe, amazing. Rose Lavelle, amazing. And now they're touring the world, and it's just one big party, as it should be. It's also expected because they're the greatest, and they do wonderful things, and they're all beautiful and smart and incredibly talented, and they should probably just get paid equally, which is obviously the conversation that we've all moved into. Actually, we didn't all move into it. The stadium decided to move into it before they left. Equal pay, chance in the stadium, which is pretty revolutionary.
Post-victory, yes.
Yes,
amazing.
We didn't even have to wait to get to Twitter for it. Right. So I talked about this last week, and it always gets people very upset when you mention the concept that women should be paid the same that men get paid for doing the exact same job. I know it's very upsetting. So I'm sorry that I didn't give you a warning, like a spoiler alert. That's what I was going to be talking about here, because I get it. It's very triggering. It's terrifying, actually. I truly don't understand it, but I'm gonna try and break it down to very small terms so that it can be understandable. At this point, it's no longer a conversation of if it should happen. It's how to make it happen. It's past the point of obnoxious, and it's not even about the winning, right? Because I don't even want to focus on the winning part of it, because it really shouldn't matter. Because what if the women go through a decade of doing what the men have been doing for several decades?
What if?
Or since the existence of the team. But the point is that shouldn't be the measuring of it. But since everyone wants to push back, we will mention that the women have won 4 World Cups and that the men have never even made it to a finals. Like, if we're just going to talk about that. That being said, the women are not just not making equal pay. And nobody's asking for more, just equal. All right, we're just going to start with equal. Because, I mean, God forbid that the women were making more than the men while the men were winning 4 World Cups. I mean, what? It would be riots. It would be riots
my brain
in the street. Yeah, of course you can't. The concept of it is erroneous. The women's base salary is $72,000. The men's base salary is $100,000. Why? The women's maximum bonus is $1,350 per game. Men's maximum bonus, $12,625 a game. A little slight disparity there. And of course, the biggest number that gets thrown out there is that the U.S. Soccer awarded the men's team a $5.375 million performance bonus for losing in the round of 16 in the 2014 World Cup, and the women got $1,701.725 million for winning the 2015 World Cup. So $5.375 million for losing in the round of 16. The women, $1.725 million for winning the whole World Cup,
kicking the
whole thing. So
Waited 4 years
the pushback's always, wow, they're winning, but they don't do the revenues. Revenue's not the same. Well, Nike has sold the most soccer jerseys ever in their history this year. Which soccer jersey is it? The women's home jersey. The ratings. They don't get the same. Not as many people watch women's soccer as the men's soccer. Well, that's not true. The rating was 14 million compared to the men's final last year, 11.4 million. That's 22% more. Well, the men, it wasn't our team. Our team would have more numbers. We'd never know because they never make the finals.
We gotta win to get there.
We may never know.
Yeah.
We may never know. All we have to go on is facts, which is what you want. The facts are, we may never know if what you're saying is true. We have to put that up in the fantasy world column because we can't measure that. But we can actually measure how many people watch the men's final, and a whole lot more watch the women's final. So all that said, there's literally no more argument for why the women's team, the national team, not the WNBA, which is a private enterprise. Right. That's not what I'm talking about. The national team that represents the country of the United States,
America,
that we live in, those women should be paid equally as the men's team that represents the country of the United States that we live in. And at this point, if you disagree, you just don't like the idea of women or you don't like the idea of women playing sports.
Or women getting paid equally.
I'm sorry that I have to break that to you, but that's just something you need to wash over you. And maybe you don't care. Maybe you're just like, yeah, I don't like women. Oh, please say that so we know who you are.
Yes.
Or you know what? I don't like women playing sports. Please say that also so we don't know we know exactly who you are. I prefer, you just say who you are so we can discern, right? Don't do the pretending thing, because the reality is I just gave you all facts, okay? They're very important facts. They're the ones you asked for, and the proof's in the pudding. They need to be paid equally. It's absurd at this point. It's not the WNBA asking to be paid James Harden contracts, which, by the way, WNBA is not asking for that either. They're just asking for fair pay based off of the revenue the WNBA gets from, I don't know, TV deals. They're not asking for that. It's just equal. Not more.
No.
Just the same for doing the same thing.
I think if more people actually cared about coming up with the solution for this, it would be pretty easy. I got one. Nike writes a check.
Well,
for the difference.
It doesn't, sure, but there also needs to be a system put in place. It's not about reparations for what's been lost.
Yeah,
it's moving forward, change the system so men and women are paid equally for the same job. It's absurd that they're still arguing about it. It's not even absurd. It's just you just don't like women. That's all there is to it. And you might not like that I'm saying that, but it's just the truth. Just accept it. It's what it is. I've given you facts. There's nothing else to argue in. And if you say that it can't be done anywhere, well, tennis does it. Men and women play tennis. There's incredible superstars. Yeah. Maybe you've heard of Serena Williams in your lifetime. I hope so. There's been equal prize money in all 4 Grand Slams, the Australian Open, US Open, French Open, and Wimbledon since 2007. That's a long time ago. The Australian Open winners, Roger Federer and Caroline Wozniacki, both won $4 million. Did you even know that? Did you even know that happens?
No.
It's not that big of a deal because they both play tennis and both people both people do the same thing.
They both won.
They both won, so they just get paid the same, and it's really not that dramatic. And everyone somehow, it's amazing. Tennis is still existing as a sport. They haven't gone bankrupt. So I think it's possible, right? It's a thing that can happen. Yes. It can be done.
Right.
If you are against it at this point, like I said, I can't say enough. You just don't want it for whatever reason. The only difference between what the women are doing and what the men are doing is the women were born with different parts than the men.
Yeah.
Oh, and they also win everything.
It's time for high key, low key.
High key.
Low key.
Okay, that was interesting. So high key, Zion is already a megastar, and low key, I'm getting a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting nervous.
Early in the game.
I'm getting very nervous. So Zion had a very dramatic 9-minute debut in Summer League, which I'm I'm excited that Summer League is a thing now, because for most of my career, covering Summer League was not something that anyone ever even thought about. And now, because of the explosion of interest in the NBA and just the viral nature of these kids coming out of college, it's absolutely a thing. And I feel like it kind of really exploded with Lonzo a few years ago.
About to say, Lonzo, when he won MVP, and everybody's like, I didn't know they gave out MVPs for the Summer League. Everybody started paying attention.
Yeah, they did, though. What was the highest rated NBA Summer League game ever? It was like standing room only. The place was crazy. The convention was completely sold out days in advance, which is crazy. For the first time that's ever happened. There was over 17,000 fans in the arena, 1,000 media credentials. I mean, that's absurd. That's it may just be like a bunch of numbers, but for a Summer League game, that is insane. And then obviously he bumped knees, and now he's out for the rest of it. And then, as Arash mentioned, there was an earthquake, and they rightly ended the game because the last thing you need is the scoreboard falling down in the middle of the arena. That's not worth it for a Summer League game or any game for that matter. But just fine. It's an appropriate reaction.
Right.
The point is. I don't like that it's an injury that, I just don't like it. I feel like there's so much pressure on Zion. Like he's the very first viral NBA star. He is the first product of the internet's viral nature. Like the internet's made Zion.
Yeah.
We knew about him years ago.
He delivered,
when he was but a baby.
He had to deliver,
doing monster dunks as a child. He has delivered this far, but because of that, as we know, there then comes a little bit more responsibility and expectations. And I'm not in any way saying that he's not going to be a superstar or live up to it. But what I am saying is I think that we just need to temper the expectations just a wee bit and keep in mind that the NBA season is much longer than the college season.
Right.
And he doesn't have his man body yet, which may sound insane because he looks like it. But you mature. Like he's still incredibly young, and he needs to change his body a little bit. He's going to be working with NBA level nutritionists and trainers and like all that stuff. I don't think he's going to be at the level that the expectations have him this year or even next year. I think in his third year is going to be the superstar that a lot of people are expecting now. And it's because he's so magnetic. Like he just pops off the screen and this is like, what is this? This is an insane. This isn't even LeBron level attention because you didn't have the viral nature of the internet when LeBron came out. Think about it. LeBron's going into his 17th year. It was 17 years ago.
All these social media
that's a long time ago. Like technology has advanced quite a bit. I'm pretty sure we were all still on was it even Sidekicks yet? We were definitely on MySpace.
Sidekicks, yes.
Sidekicks. The point is, it was a long time ago, and there's so many more news outlets because of the internet now, and it's just a different level with Zion. I don't want us to get the crazy expectations that are coming with 1,000 media credentials being issued.
Well, you were right. He is the viral superstar in the NBA, our very first one. But the problem with that is viral is short-lived and fleeting and flash in the pan, if you will. So he's got to get into the lab, continue to do what he's doing. Because he didn't do what he did at Duke if he wasn't a hard worker off the floor.
And he will.
He works when we're not watching him.
The NBA is a step up, and we shouldn't take that for granted. He's not going to be playing against kids in college. It is the NBA.
Not some of the kids either.
And guys in the NBA are going to be coming for him because they vets can't stand when people put rookies on pedestals like that. Like, it's not that they're hating on them, but they just want to remind everybody, like, yo, we been here. Like I'm that dude.
Well, people were acting like they were excited about Kevin Knox last summer league, and to see Zion literally take the ball from him and then
so
dunk it. It was
It was so disrespectful.
Like Zion's first points were as a dunk. Like he's just like.
I mean, that young man has a family.
Shouts out.
Yes. All right. Next. High key, I hate hot dogs. And low key, I don't know why anyone would eat them. like ever. So ESPN just released a new 30 for 30. It's so easy to not eat them. The good, the bad, the hungry. It should just be called the worst food of all time. And so it details the rise and controversial fall of Kobayashi, whose reign was cut short by losses to Joey Chestnut. I saw the True Life. I'm a competitive eater, and Kobe. I believe it was Kobayashi that was on it. Do you know that they eat lettuce? Competitive eaters eat lettuce to expand your stomach. So all this time,
that water.
You people have been lying to me, telling me that salads actually make you skinnier. The more lettuce I eat, the hungrier I get. That's why I always eat a salad. I need to eat again in like an hour. Liars. It's carbs that I need to be eating. Anyway, the point is I hate hot dogs. And I don't know why this was made because I don't understand. Why would you watch a human being stuff watered down hot... I honestly can't talk about it. It's so disgusting. Why do you eat hot dogs? Why?
It's a holiday.
What is appetizing about it? It's meat poop.
Well, I mean, you don't get started on hot dogs.
It's literally meat poop. It's a log of meat poo.
Okay.
It's all the leftover unnecessary things that normally you eat when you eat meat, except for there's nowhere else to put them, so we've stuffed them in this shell of meat poo.
Listen, I am.
And that's why you have to charcoal grill it to the point that it looks like this pen. That's the only way it's edible.
You know what? Listen, what I'm trying to say is, we eat bad stuff for each other all the time. Like, we eat bad stuff all the time. I'm trying to say we need to start eating clean, less meat. The rest of the summer I'm not eating meat.
Good for you.
I'm just like, whatever.
Enjoy yourself. And sausage is not a hot dog. Don't at me. Sausage is an artisanal collection of spices and different meat cuts.
At the very least, it's the first cousin of a hot dog.
Any butcher,
first cousin.
It's the elite cousin that got all of the money from grandma then, okay? It's the trust fund cousin, and you are not. Okay, that's the difference. Go to a butcher. They take pride in like the meat choices and blends that they put into sausage. Sausage is not a hot dog. Don't let the shape confuse you. People boil these hot dogs and the film on top of the water. It's disturbing.
Hot dog water is gross smelling. Hot dog water, also, don't boil them.
Isn't her shirt like Nathan's Hot Dogs? Like
no, it's
font?
Average Joe's from.
It's like it literally could be a hot dog
just because it's cursive and has a line under it.
It literally could be.
Nathan.
It really could be.
That doesn't prove her wrong, so I'm not going to agree with it.
Ketchup and mustard colors.
Oh yes.
You know what else you can put ketchup and mustard on? A million other things, starting with hamburgers, which are not hot dogs. All I'm saying is I don't believe in hot dogs as a concept, and I stand by that. And the reason for this, just so you know, is because my brother, shout out Jason Taylor, made me watch a hot dog eating documentary. Not eating, a hot dog making documentary when I was a child, and I've forever been traumatized since. And my lack of eating hot dogs over all these years has caused me to have a traumatic response to them.
Does he eat hot dogs?
I'm sure he does because he doesn't. I'm sure he does. All right, finally, high key, we have new jerseys to buy this year, and low key, I'm here for it. So KD has changed from 35 to number 7.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't given an explanation other than like 35 was just a different part of his life.
So he cared about.
He explained why he's changing jerseys, but he hasn't explained why 7 is important to him.
Yeah, no. Another chapter. And
I mean, 7 is considered to be the perfect number.
Yes.
So we know he's a very philosophical guy. So that's
Yahweh made the world in 7 days.
That's my
yeah.
That's my guess. Mm-hmm. Some people are saying Kaepernick. That's fun. So that's a possibility too. There's no real answer yet. Maybe we will. Maybe it's just a number he just likes.
I think when Kobe chose 24, I thought he was trying to do 1 over Jordan, right?
Okay.
That seemed like a clear number switch. I think Kevin Durant realizes he can't overtake Jordan, but maybe he can be seen as better as LeBron. LeBron is number 6 now. 1 over 6. Math. 7. You feel me? You ever seen the movie Number 23 with Jim Carrey? Mm-mm. Oh, that's a weird one. But anyways, that's not important. But yes, I think he's just trying to be 1 up over LeBron by choosing the number 7.
That's an interesting concept.
Because he's petty.
He is petty. He is petty. He's not a snake.
And also that number looks like a snake. I think that might be why. He's like embracing the easy money snake.
That's an incredible deep dive. But maybe he'll tell us this season why he picked 7. But that's my thoughts. And then obviously LeBron, as you mentioned, is going back to number 6 and giving AD 23, which I love because, first of all, he won his most important championships wearing number number 6. And also, it was at the height of his career in his prime. And I just think when I think of 23, I think of Michael Jordan, and it always bothered me that LeBron wore 23. Like, first of all, he said he didn't wear 23 because it was an ode to Jordan. But then he started wearing 23, so it's like, do you no longer think that Jordan is only 23? And then it's like, I'm never going to think of LeBron as 23 ever. No matter what happens, no matter what LeBron accomplishes in his life, he's never going to be 23. So like 6 is the more appropriate number. Like you're too high of a level of athlete to wear 23. Like that's been taken.
Okay, I
you know
like
what I mean?
that
So
take.
like I like him in 6 anyway.
Loser power
rankings. Loser power rankings. Loser of the week. Okay, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I don't believe in violence, but
as an answer to to solve a problem.
My official statement is I don't believe in violence.
Okay.
That said, there's this thing going on because people are bored. And then they watch too many things on the internet where they're going out and licking ice cream and putting it back in where they found it and then leaving. And then a bunch of people are like copying it now. I believe the person that started this went to jail where they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she was caught.
Yeah,
there was like a manhunt for her in a very small town of Lufkin, Texas.
Yeah, they should. They found her, as they should, and she's now in jail where she should be because it's illegal and also very stupid. Anyway, so it's Bluebell ice cream, which is unfortunate for people that eat Bluebell.
Best ice cream ever.
Texas.
Okay, well, so
out.
you know my position on ice cream. Like I go get ice cream when I want to eat ice cream. Like if I'm like, Hud, like I'm thinking about for some ice cream, I go get the ice cream. I have ice cream in my freezer right now that 100% has freezer bite on it because it's not something
burn.
I don't go and like eat ice cream in my house. I respect the fact that there's a whole ice cream industry of people that buy ice cream and keep it in the house.
So when they sell it at the grocery store at Ralph's, you said you shouts out to Ralph. At the grocery store, you think that people buy it just like, or people should buy it for events and not
No,
like.
I understand that people eat ice cream. Okay, I'm just saying I am a person that goes to the ice cream shop and buys the ice cream.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know what that makes me, but like that's what I do. So this doesn't apply to me.
You don't agree with having ice cream in the house.
If that's what you want to do and how you want to live your life, do that. I'm just saying I have ice cream because Earl wanted ice cream with his cake, so I literally went to the store for that purpose and got the ice cream.
Right.
Okay, but like. I just go to the ice cream shop. Anyway, so I'm not worried about this happening to me because I don't eat ice cream to begin with.
Right.
So I'm not,
from the glass door. You
of
don't
it.
do the glass ice cream. You open the window in the door.
Yeah, no. When I was a child, I ate ice cream at home. So anyway, the point is, overall, the only reason someone would feel compelled, to go do something this erroneous is that hands have not been put on them before. It's the only concept that I have. Like when I see things like this, I'm like, oh, my mother would do horrible things if she found out that I was going to the grocery store, licking the ice cream, replacing it back into.
Not even leaving a review.
I don't want to imagine my fate, right? So I don't. Yeah, like
I keep thinking of that.
Like I just picture my mother's hand like swooping from the side, like from the other aisle, like Stretch Armstrong, just knocking life out of me.
Right.
For the thought. I wouldn't get past the thought in my head to do it. I wouldn't even actually be able to perform the action because my mom's spidey sense would go off that I was having a bad idea and smack me before I did the thing that would then require my immediate death. Right. Right. Yeah. So like, that's my only thought. Like when people yell inappropriate things at games to athletes that are 3 times their size. You clearly have never had anything of the sort happen to you because you would know it's available that person this is this invisible bubble that people live in, like where there's no touching. Like
you don't want those problems.
What is stopping someone from seeing this girl going around the store licking ice cream and just losing their mind?
I'm telling you, if loss prevention.
It's not a fear that she had. She went there with no fear of anything happening to her. Like that is the only thing I can think of.
Why would you? I'm trying to think what's something I can do that's not as bad. Maybe like take sips of pickle jars and put it back. Pickle juice. Drink some pickle juice, put it back.
Oh!
That don't affect the pickles, right?
Oh!
You don't think so?
I just bought
different
2
than ice
jars
cream.
of pickle just yesterday.
Oh, so now you bought pickles.
I'm still gonna eat them. All right, next on loser power rankings, Ashley hates pickles, so that's
Oh yeah,
her nightmare.
Thank. I'm glad. Yeah, good. She got her hot dogs. You get your pickles.
I mean, pickles are so salty and delicious. I don't know
Just
why.
gross.
I eat
Always.
pickles and cheese. I eat every single day.
Yes, always.
It's part of my pyramid.
No fast food restaurant puts
My
enough
food
pickles.
pyramid is like
My eyes are watering.
The bottom
This is
level, like stuff you're supposed to eat the most
hurting
of,
me
is
so
like
much.
pickles and cheese.
Yeah, how could you not like pickles? What is that?
Pickles, cheese, rosé.
Do you
So
cucumbers?
anyway, the next on the loser power rankings is Westbrook haters. Okay, so Westbrook is allegedly in talks with the Thunder about getting traded. He doesn't want to be there anymore. They're pretty much in the middle of a rebuild. They got
open to it.
10,000 picks for Paul George, and also Paul George is not there anymore. That said, I'm off this like hating Westbrook bandwagon thing. Like I first of all, I've never been on it. I love Westbrook.
Right, yes.
He's pretty much my favorite player in the NBA.
You said it for a while.
He's super fun to watch. He's a superstar. He's dynamic. He's debatable. He plays relentlessly. Like he's the closest thing to the energy that Jordan has. And like Kawhi has gone to that level, except for Kawhi doesn't have the swag that Jordan has.
Personality.
So like he's just overall he's really fun. He's kind of comparable. We talked about it a little bit on the Hurt today. He's kind of comparable in a lot of ways to Cam Newton.
Ooh, yeah. Like just
like there's a lot of parallels there. The fights with the media.
Yeah.
He went to a Super Bowl. He won an MVP. He went to an NBA Finals.
Unique
he won a
body
league
type.
MVP. Like yes, there's a lot of the fashion. Like there's a lot of similarities there.
Yes.
The intensity that he plays with.
Yeah.
Right. Athleticism. Okay, I digress. The point is, people push back on Westbrook because they say he's hard to play with. Even Kevin Durant's brand manager, Randy Williams, commented on some Bleacher Report post on Instagram and said nobody wants to play with him. Everyone blames everyone else but except him. That's not true. When it comes to Thunder losing, people have bad basketball mixed up with loyalty. First of all, there's no debate that he's been loyal. Like he has been loyal, and he's reached this point where he doesn't need to be loyal anymore. But that said, can the Thunder front office take any smoke here? It's not all Westbrook's fault. They just got him Paul George, and now Paul George is gone. They valued Serge Ibaka over James Harden. No diss to Serge Ibaka was huge for the Raptors this year, but I'm taking James Harden in that spot. They had Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook as babies on that team, and they didn't keep that together.
Yeah, that's on them.
I mean, at one point or another, you got to kind of point the finger somewhere else. What else is Westbrook supposed to do? Of course he plays that way. He feels like he has to. Why wouldn't he play that way?
They laid out to make sure that he won a triple-double these last 2 seasons. Like, the organization let him do that, though. You know what I'm saying?
They let him do that, but also, what's the other option?
Yeah.
Like, they have made bad front office decisions.
Yeah, bad contracts
And
out
if
there.
Westbrook's no longer there, we're going to see what the real deal is with that front office, because they're going to have 10,000 picks to make some moves with. What are you going to put together? I don't buy it. Like, I think what I really hope for Westbrook is that a trade is made and he goes somewhere, and by some sort of basketball god fate, he actually ends up winning a championship, because it will change the narrative of his whole career tremendously. Even if he wins just one, it's going to change all of it, because right now he has that Charles Barkley-esque kind of career pattern, and I just don't think it's fair. Like, I think that even if he was in the Rockets.
Yeah, no, something that always sticks with me is after he won his MVP, Jordan, because he's obviously a Jordan brand guy, wrote him a letter and said, I won my first MVP before I won my first championship. And I was like, dang, like, is Westbrook really, like, going to win a championship?
I mean, I hope so, but there's not that much time left for that to happen.
No,
but I'm not saying he's at the end of his career.
He's like 1,000 games. Like
But he's just had to play at such a high level, like with high intensity, and that's also part of his game. But also because I feel like he's had to. So I think that there is more blame to go around than is being given. It's not all on Westbrook. So I'm off that this week, and for a while longer. And lastly, Pod Tom has resurfaced.
back.
If you don't know what Pod Tom is, there's 2 Tom Bradys, and they're very easy to spot. One is regular Tom Brady. You might have seen him in that dramatic comeback in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons. That was real Tom Brady. Pod Tom, you might have seen at the Met Gala.
Yes.
Rather orangey colored.
Yes, very glossy.
That was
Vaseline on his face.
for sure.
Yes.
For
Yes.
show.
Nice
Handler
happy blob.
had the whole, not the mini one, okay, for the track meets, okay, but the whole thing of Vaseline, okay, because there was a glowy shine thing. I mean, the pod Tom has to remain moisturized.
Yes,
Okay.
this is part of it.
Right. So anyway, Pod Tom posted a photo with the
Thanos
infinity
hand, the
gauntlet
yeah,
with the hand with the
The
stones,
weapon with the
thing.
stones. You know
Yeah.
what we talking about. We saw the
And
movie.
it's just, he did not spend 3 hours. Real Tom Brady did not spend 3 hours watching any Marvel film. Okay.
No.
Tom Brady does not have time for movies. He's made
No.
it very clear he watches film. Okay, and then that's it. All right, I
Yes.
don't believe that he spent 3 hours watching a superhero movie.
I feel like he gets he's got a good team clearly that works with him. I feel like they spark notes like everything for him. Just like, okay, this is this
I mean,
person,
that's
and
good.
this is a
Like,
reference to
he's-
this.
That's
This
yeah.
is, you know what I
so
mean?
he can go through like
Yeah,
knowing what the
yeah,
rest
so
of the
he can-
world is talking about for the
Right,
most part.
right.
But so that's Pod Tom. Real Tom was at UCLA throwing passes to Rob Gronkowski, which got everyone talking about, like, you know, is Gronk coming back, whatever. He's not. Baron Davis was actually out there running around catching stuff
yes,
too.
saw that.
So maybe Baron is gonna
I'm here for
make an appearance with the Patriots.
Baron Davis playing in the NFL.
Yeah, shout out Baron. But yeah, that's what's happening. So just keep an eye out.
Yeah,
You
just
know
know the
and listen,
difference.
I respect it.
Keep an
I
eye out.
actually think it's a great idea. I would love to have a Pod Joy. Now, Pod Joy would be very easy to spot because there's no way that I would ever program Pod Joy to make like actual statements on Real Joy's behalf.
Yeah.
So it would be, I think it would have to probably be like 6 a.m. version of Joy where I just don't
Yeah, I was
say,
about to say,
I don't
what?
say words.
Yeah, what part?
I just kind of make grunty sounds at people. They know what I'm talking about. But imagine if you just had a pod person you could just send outside so you can do whatever you want.
But what would you send your pod? What was Pod Joy do in your
Well, she
stead?
could never work.
Oh,
So,
okay, yeah.
that,
So just
I
Pod Joy
can-
just stay at the house like a security guard.
I don't know
Just
what
like
I would use
sitting
Pod
outside on
Joy for. Just claim to be home so I could get my Amazon packages. I don't know, but all I'm saying is Pod Tom is back out. He's out. He's out.
Yeah, out here.
All right, what's in the Migos Culture Report this week?
Halle Bailey is set to star as Ariel in the upcoming live-action reboot
Yes.
of Disney's Little Mermaid. If you don't know who Halle Bailey is, she is one
It's
half
not
of the
Halle Berry.
No, it's not. And I saw
Halle
that and I was like, okay, they're doing that. But
Berry,
yeah,
Halle Berry.
No, I was like, oh, Halle Berry, that's good.
No.
But cause she looked good. She was in John Wick 3. One half of the Grammy-nominated singing group Chloe and Halle, who gained internet fame on YouTube before Queen Beyoncé signed them to the singing sisters to her record label Parkland. Once it was announced the newest Ariel would be portrayed by a black woman, real-life trolls took to Twitter where they were so annoying with their anti-black Ariel takes that the real person who played Ariel back in the day came out and was like, y'all need to chill. She's had her official statement. We love playing casting director with these up-and-coming films, so let's cast the rest of Disney's Little Mermaid
Okay.
reboot.
Well, first of all, I saw my favorite meme of all time, which is basically Beyonce saying, like, yes, I'll be in Lion King, but here's my suggestions for the rest of y'all little movies. And that's exactly how this went down, and respect, because I
Yes.
feel you need to put your people on.
That's what she's doing.
And that's what she's doing. So I love this casting. First of all, before we're moving forward,
Yes.
if you have a problem with the color of a mermaid, you are a racist.
I mean, it's international
There's
water
no
she lived in.
confusion about what
Yeah.
I just said. There's no need to elaborate. Well, fine, we'll do it. A mermaid is a fictional character.
Yes.
If you believe in mermaids,
Yes.
then there's a space for you over in the other side, and it's not next to the people that believe in aliens and, you know, stuff that really happens. Like,
Yes.
there's actually not mermaids. It's not a thing. So stop. You're just racist. Moving forward, so love this casting. And she's also an amazing singer, by
Yes,
the way, too,
yes.
which is necessary for this film. So now we're going to cast the rest of it. I only have suggestions for Prince Eric, Ursula, and Triton.
Let's do this.
But Triton needs to be played by Winston Duke.
I was going to go Idris Elba.
Okay, so Idris Elba is a good. I would be perfectly happy with the
Right.
choice of Idris Elba, and I think Idris Elba can sing. I don't know.
Oh,
he can
yes.
sing. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I was thinking or Shaq, but that probably wouldn't work for the singing.
Shaq would be interesting.
Shaq just Shaq underwater like
Shaq would be interesting.
Ariel.
But like, could you take it seriously then? Because he's so funny. Okay, Winston Duke is my choice. I don't know if Winston can sing or not though, but he looks the part.
Yes, he
like,
does.
Triton is like I don't know how to explain Triton,
Yeah,
but
it's like
he's
a-
more than just like king of the ocean.
Right.
Like he has a sensitive side
I've
for his
seen-
baby girl.
Yes,
So,
I've seen online it's the ultimate zaddy.
Yes.
That's what they said.
Yes.
He's the ultimate zaddy.
Yes, we're not going to
Yes.
get into weirdness of cartoons, okay?
No, we're
Because
not.
it's a whole nother conversation we've already had and decided to exit.
Yeah.
But it's important. So anyway, I mean, Little Mermaid is, of all Disney movies, like it's like Lion King, Pocahontas, because it was the first Disney princess that looked like me, and then
Shuts up.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I
yeah.
can sing every song in Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid was the first thing that got the princess ball rolling back in 1989. So like it makes sense.
It was an important film.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about this. Anyway, all right. So Ursula has also already been cast by Melissa McCarthy, which
Yes.
is my boo. I love
I like
Melissa.
that. Yeah, it's fun. She's great.
People were really upset about that because they also feel like Ursula is a black woman, when in fact Ursula is a sea witch
Who's purple?
who's purple.
Yeah. With tentacles and stuff.
So
yeah.
But Titus Burgess is my choice for Ursula.
I mean, I don't. From Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt,
Yes.
I didn't watch that show, but I see him on all the don't you know when you can't turn it off quick enough and you get the whole preview. He looks funny.
Yes.
I like him as Ursula.
I love Ursula. She's one of my favorite characters in all of cinematic history. I went as Ursula for Halloween. It's my greatest costume of all time. I'll see if I can find a picture of it, but it's wonderful. It even had the dress even had like strings on it, so I could move my tentacles.
Next
it
level.
was queen. Okay, I had the little mini tridents
And she's a
and the
diva.
crown. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Melissa will kill it because she's incredible.
Right.
But Prince Eric, this is where it gets tricky because she's very young. So
19.
it needs to be age appropriate who the love interest is.
She could be like 20
There's a
when
lot
it
of
comes
names
out.
being thrown out there. Okay, so who is your suggestion for Prince Eric?
So I was thinking Michael B. Jordan, but then you got me on the age thing. So he's 32, so I don't really want that type
Yeah,
of,
that's my
you know
age.
what I'm saying?
That's
I'm
too
not
old. I'm
not
an
gonna
old person.
portray that. But Jarrell Jerome, the one who was Corey Wise and When They See Us, and he was in Moonlight as the friend who kind of on the beach with. He's 21. He's a great actor.
No, 21 isn't interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
So my suggestion, my pick would be Alfred Enoch, but he's 30, but he looks young. So like it kind of fits.
Alfred,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah.
I like him.
So
And he looks young.
Now,
He can-
Shawn Mendes is also a very good pick, and we know he can sing, and
Yes.
he's 20.
Yeah.
And then also Diego Tinoco is 21 as well.
Who that
and
Diego? Oh yeah.
He's from what is it, Around My Block or something, On My Block or something show. I've seen it on
I've seen his
Netflix.
face.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's some. I'm interested to see who is cast for Prince Eric, but there's some good suggestions out there.
Yeah, I was thinking for Ursula. I think I'd probably like Angela Bassett because she just looked kind of when she's a bad person, she's bad. And also Kerry Washington, who when she looks crazy and she got them eyes going,
She does have the good
and
crazy eyes.
and
But
that yelling, she shows her
Ursula-
teeth.
Ursula, she's a big lady.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
That's part of her persona.
Yeah, she's like a
and she's
diva-ish.
very Angela Bassett's queen, obviously.
Yeah.
And so is Carrie, but that's not. I wouldn't
Okay.
go with that there. I think Melissa is a more
Triton.
appropriate casting for there.
But the other characters important: Sebastian Flounder, and then the seagull. Like those are all just like people that talk, the animals that talk around. So these are voices. I said Sebastian. Well, for one, Flounder, that little fish. He's kind of funny. Lil Rel. You know what I'm saying? Possibly. The seagull flying, Tracy Morgan. I think that would be interesting to hear seagulls, Tracy Morgan's voice.
I like both
You know what I'm
those.
saying? And Sebastian had a Jamaican accent, so he already spoke differently. So I think James Corden. Just go ahead, give James Corden another job, speaking his language, just saying the lines, and just, you sound
He
weird.
speaks English.
I know, but he speaks the Queen's English. So a little twinge.
All right, well that's good. Also, Mulan is coming out soon. The trailer came out for Mulan,
Yes.
which I'm very excited about. But we're not gonna have Mushu.
No Mushu.
No Mushu. It's gonna be a different kind of Mulan.
No watchy for me.
No, how dare you?
I'll watch.
All right, thanks for joining us this week. Thank you to Arash Markazi of the LA Times for joining us as well. Make sure you follow us on our pages at Maybe I'm Crazy Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
All that.
And subscribe on YouTube at Maybe I'm Crazy Podcast. Newman Show 99 on social. Joy Taylor Talks. We are on the iHeartMedia app. We are on SoundCloud. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So check us out there. Share with your friends, and we'll catch Brandon on Fridays.
Yes.
For the update with Brandon Newsman.
Holla, holla.
Whatever we missed this week. And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.